uses of the pyramids. And so he took me around the Giza Plateau for the first time. And that was really amazing. So when I arrived in Egypt, it had been, I don't know, a 28-hour travel day. And my flights from Istanbul just kept on getting delayed. And I finally get to Cairo. My poor driver who's been waiting on me for 6 hours, I finally get in his car. He takes me, across Cairo into Giza. I get to my hotel, and I'm exhausted. And the sunrise is going to be in a couple hours, and I've got to be at the Giza Plateau to meet up with Land of Kim. And so I throw my stuff in my hotel room, and then I go up to the rooftop. And there's this little restaurant up on the rooftop, and I walk out there, and I'm just, and I have this hotel that's on the Giza Plateau. It's advertised that I can see the pyramids from the hotel. So I walk out there, and I'm looking for the pyramids on the skyline. I don't see the pyramids anywhere. And I'm like, maybe it's just too dark. I can't really. And then I stop and look up, and the pyramids were the skyline. Oh yeah. It was just this black, these huge black triangles that were so. I was underestimating how big they were going to be.
They're big.
And something very deep in me came out, and I just started like weeping on that rooftop, just crying, looking at the pyramids. I had finally made it, and I didn't, I was here in Egypt to see the pyramids for a purpose. I wasn't just a tourist. My decisions in life and the route that I was going in life had brought me to Egypt to see the pyramids. A lot came out in that moment, and it was very therapeutic. And then I feel this tap on my back, and it's this young kid who's working as a waiter at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and he has a box of tissues in hand that he hands to me. And he's, he must have been like, well, it's pretty normal around here. People
with
tend
a
to have
QR code for the tip.
With a QR code for to give him a tip. No, but so I had it had a profound effect on me, and really, it's only one of two profound effects that ancient sites have had on me. I know we're going to talk about South America later, but when I was at Machu Picchu, literally like 10 days before that, which was crazy to me. I think it was also that I had just been in Machu Picchu. I stopped in at home, and then all of a sudden I'm in Egypt now. And it's just like, how did my life?
Your wife's just sitting at home being a dentist, and you're going all over the world.
Yeah.
Sorry, hon, I'll be back.
I think that's the way she would prefer it. She's a homebody, and I like this crazy thing that my life has become. It's fun.
Just don't bring home an Egyptian hooker, my friend.
No.
Don't you do it.
So, so 10 days before that at Machu Picchu, I had a different profound emotional experience. So my grandfather died earlier this year, and he was the inspiration for all this. We probably talked about that.
We did talk about him the first time you were here.
He was the inspiration for all this. And, I was with my grandpa when he died. I was the last person that he spoke to. He had Alzheimer's, but he never forgot a face when somebody was standing right in front of him. And in my last moments, I just recalled some memories that I had with him, and I asked him, do you remember this when I was a kid? Do you remember reading the story of Troy to me and showing me Machu Picchu in this book, Lost Cities? That was kind of how we bonded, and we watched Westerns and stuff. And I asked him, do you remember all the Westerns that you showed me? Like Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke was on the TV when he died in the hospital room. And he said yes. And I was like, I looked him in his eyes. I was like, I want you to know I'm never going to forget that. That was lay the foundation for who I am. And I said, I love you. And it was the first time I've like looked somebody in their eyes and just, made sure they knew that I loved him. And he said it to me too. And I was like, Papa, do you know who you're talking to? And he nodded. And then I said, who are you talking to? And he told me my full name to my face. Whoa. And it was the last thing he ever said to me. And I just broke out crying, like laying over his bed. And what's interesting is a week before, the reason he was in the hospital is because he died in his sleep. At the moment he died in his sleep, I had a dream about him because I woke up from it, that I was laying at his hospital bed, crying over him, kissing him, telling him I loved him and I was going to miss him. And I saw my last moment with him in a dream. The moment his heart stopped and he was sent to the hospital, I had a dream about him. Next week, it actually happens. Anyways, I'm in Machu Picchu, a couple months ago. And, the precipice for me even knowing about Machu Picchu was my grandpa.
Yeah.
And so I'm standing in front of the megalithic gate at Machu Picchu with the mountain Huayna Picchu up behind it. And it's just, it's a perfect day to see Machu Picchu for the first time. It's pretty much a flip of a coin. It's either going to be a raining, storm while you're there, or the sun's going to be shining. And so we got lucky. My very first time seeing it was perfect. And so I pull out my phone to take a photo of it. And sure enough, my Apple Mail app is open and I'm sending an email. I never open up Apple Mail. I have like 4,000 emails I've never responded to. I'm never going to send anybody an email from my iCloud. And it's to my grandpa's email.
Whoa.
And I have never sent my grandpa an email at all.
Dude.
And it was, and in the email, his email address was selected, and the little thing was blinking as though I was typing. And I was looking at it and I was like, of all the things that I could have pocket dialed in my phone, I'm emailing him.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
It's very strange. And so I had this, it was like a touch from someplace else, that he could see me, and so that was really cool. And so I think this was sort of, my reaction to the pyramids was like that finally came out of me, because I couldn't cry then because I was around a bunch of people,
And now you just had a waiter.
Yeah. And so, yeah. So it was a little wink from the next place. And my professor, Dr. Barnhart, he's always told me that his professor, Linda Shealy, she's like the late great Maya archaeologist. Her thought about these places was that why people have strong emotional reactions at ancient places. Napoleon, when he went into the Great Pyramid, he saw something, and he never told anybody what happened to him.
Saw something?
He saw something. Something happened to him. And
did he go in alone?
He went in alone. I think maybe he spent a night in the pyramid by himself.
Oh, he just chilled in the pyramid.
Or he was in there for a little while by himself, because he conquered Egypt, and he spent some time in the pyramid by himself. And so he came out, and somebody asked him, his face looks pale white. And somebody asked, "What did you see in there?" And he goes, "He wouldn't believe me if I told you."
An alien.
Yeah, and that's the
Something.
last. That's nobody's ever known what Napoleon saw in the pyramid. But so Linda Shealy would say that so many people have spent so much time at these ancient sites during the time that they were in use, since the time that they've fallen into ruin, and people come back. People go there for a higher experience. No matter really what that is, or what in particular that is, people are going there and their soul is trying to reach out to something that's bigger than them. And her idea was that these ancient places are places that have thinned the veil between our world and the next. And it's easier to access whatever it is that's out there when you're at these ancient places. It's easier to feel it. It's easier to have some kind of emotional response, or strange things can happen to you. And it's so common. That was her idea. So I don't know where we got off on this, but
no, you were talking about when you saw them for the first time and they're just like blacking out the whole skyline.
Yeah. And so, all of that was kind of an emotional reaction. But it was really spectacular. I loved every moment of being in Egypt. I'm really looking forward to getting back.